Hello there. So the first car meet of the year, which is local to me, is coming up. Ideally I'd like to take the ULs, but it turns out I've not finished it. So the comma, that's what I'm going to take. There's a few things I need to do to it before I can take it. One of them being a coolant leak. That is the top cap of the radiator, which I no longer use, but I basically tried to stiffen up the spring so it would no longer pass fluid. Basically I need to cut it off and TIG weld that, so that's a job that needs doing. I'm going to do an oil and filter change because I've not done it since last March, and strange one this, it needs 2 new tyres. Yeah. Tread, all gone. The other side, same thing. I can't really explain how that's happened. Just over a year old, them tyres. Anyway, let's not whinge about it too much. Here you see I've got some brand new oh yeah. Right, tyres are on. Let's get it out the barn so I can turn it round to be easier to work on. Oh, also the starter motor is pretty much dead. Shit in hell. Right, I've got to jump pack. Jesus. Stupid bloody thing. Plenty of room. Right, it's back in, facing the other way. I'm gonna pull the radiator out and drain the oil and filter. Drain an oil filter. Change the oil filter. Drain the oil. Right, just got the engine cowling off, the radiator cowling, etc. Just draining the coolant down, and then I'm gonna pull the radiator out. Radiator is out. It's over here. I'll show you what my issue is. So, as I have got an expansion bottle now, which sits higher than the radiator, you fill it from the expansion bottle, the whole coolant level is above the head slightly. I was always worried that this was a bit too low. But instead of, when I was arsing around welding all these things on incredibly badly, I shied away from cutting this off and welding a flat piece in there. I decided to, there's a spring in this, which would let off the pressure at 0.9 bar. I decided to stick a big washer behind the spring so it would hold more pressure, and basically I was hoping it would seal permanently and all the blowing off etc would be done by the expansion tank cap. Well, as you can see, it's not done that, and even from stone cold this seeps. So it's not a pressure issue, it's just this needs to go. So I'm going to pull it off, cut it flat and TIG weld some aluminium over the top. Right, that's all chopped off. What I'm going to do now is take this piece of aluminium. I've got a hole saw. I'm going to go for this size. I'm going to hole saw a round piece of metal out and then weld it to the top of that. Easy. getting better. Just giving it a little wire brush down. Looks alright. Don't want to make excuses, right, but I am standing on 1 foot because it's quite high up, so I'm standing on 1 foot and balance it on the pedal. Yeah, not showing off or anything. Right, I basically edit my footage as I go along. So I've just edited that little TIG welding piece, right, and it looks like 30 seconds of me just going zip, 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 zip round, right? That is not the case. I thought it would be a good time to point out the lies of the internet, right? And people like me get to edit stuff and look like I get things right first time. Make no mistake, pretty much everything I do is a lot shitter in person than it appears on the internet. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, it's all fake, my stuff. If you ever see my cars up close, you'll see what I mean, yeah? It's all a much lower standard. Anyway, I thought I'd just point that out. Okay, it's the next morning. I got the radiator in last night. That's all in, looking good. Now, what I want to do is add an engine steady to the top here. That's what the Saab 9000s have. This is a Saab 9000 bush. That basically fights any rocking. This engine, as the mounts have sort of got softer over time, and the fact that they're spaced quite close to the engine, particularly the gearbox ones, they're side by side. So what happens then, there's not much combat in the roll on the engine. It's not much, but if you're doing third gear burnout, maybe you want a bit more additional engine stability. It doesn't really come across on camera. It's a solid mounted engine, but I'm going to add that and stiffen it up a bit. So I've cut and bent a piece of metal to go around the mount. I'm just going to make this nut captive with the welder and then fit the bush to the engine. Right, that nut is now captive. Next step, mount the bush to the holder, and then I can start making the bit to go from here to the side of the van. To do this, I've got a threaded bar through it, bit of aluminium, which sort of suits the face of that, because if you look, it's not flat, and I don't want to start destroying the bush before I've even used it, and then a big fat washer on the end. Right, all the rad stuff is in and the Kaale in. I'm just going to run the engine up now and make sure I've got no leaks. Ah, bugger. Can you see I've got a little leak? That's it running up to full temp and the fan kicking in, so it's not too bad. So I've drilled 4 holes for my engine steady mount. That's not me, that was already there. Probably shouldn't have drilled it so close. If I was a bit cleverer, I wouldn't have. But anyway, 4 holes, and what I am using is riv nuts. No doubt you've seen these before. Conventional bolt goes into a riv nut, right? So this is threaded, and you basically put it in a rivet gun, and well, a special one for riv nuts, and then as you squeeze it, it crushes it, and it leaves you with a permanent threaded section. Draining the oil, fresh oil filter going on. When I made the sump for this originally, I decided not to go for a dipstick, because basically you'd have to take the seat out to get the engine every time, which isn't going to happen, is it? You'd probably just wait till the oil light came on. So I decided to do a sight glass underneath the van, so you could just pop your head down and see what the oil level is. A little bit more. This is the finished result for the steady. I was just giving it the world's crappiest paint job. Let's chuck it on. Happy with that, it does the trick. One thing I did overlook when making it is making sure I had sufficient clearance between these two pieces, right? Because I totally forgot that this gap changes because the bush moves, yeah? Anyway, there is quite a bit of a gap. The light's making it look a bit worse than it is. Probably about 4 mil at the least. Does it hit? Who knows? But I'm pleased with how it looks, just rocking between reverse and drive. Who knows what it's going to be like on the road. I'd imagine this engine used to move around quite a bit, so it's got to be better than that. Okay, it's a chilly cold morning. Let's go to the Haynes. Most important fuel stop. Fat boy fuel. I did tell him.
Yeah, I can't fucking do everything, can I?
Right, where's your phone? Am I pouring in the tea?
Yes, doing fucking coffee, and it's still recording. Watch out. I'm so glad we paid hundreds of pounds to lay rubber on the flipping road and make an absolute stench.
How was that? Right, that's the end of that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch me in the next one where Rowena is going to be working on the UAS.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not.
I'm going to be working on the UAS. Thanks. Bye. Yeah, should probably look into that.